I occasionally have get-togethers of my students where we have a couple of hours scheduled with no specific reason for being there. And I basically say to them, what do you want to talk about? Someone felt some subjects, we'll discuss anything you like. And one of my students said, who am I without my instrument? What am I without my instrument? And that was a very striking and excellent question, I think, that needed some discussing. So I'll try and go through with you what my immediate reaction was, my heartfelt reaction to this young person who was trying to deal with who they were going to become. And I think there are a lot of issues here that we can discuss. Whatever instrument you play, or indeed however you identify yourself in any profession, in any walk of life. And what I said to him was, when I'm at home, or to those who are close to me, when I'm gone, I would like to be remembered for being a dad and a husband. I'd like to be loved and remembered affectionately for being that, and not for being a successful instrumentalist or successful anything. Because when I think back to the people who are no longer with me, when I think of Maurice Murphy, for those of you who don't know who that is, or perhaps not even musicians, he was the trumpet player on all of the Star Wars films. That incredibly exciting, piercing film music trumpet sound, who was a very close friend and a colleague in the London Symphony when I was there. Occasionally, I'll be in an elevator or in a hotel reception or in a shopping centre, and I'll hear some music come on and it's unmistakably Maurice. And I'll start welling up, I'll start getting ready to cry. But it's not his playing that I remember. It's who he was. It's the look in his eye, the warmth of his personality. My own father, perhaps in a greatly less spectacular way, also achieved an awful lot in his life. He had many different careers. But I don't remember him for what he did. I remember him for who he was. And I think that's a really important thing to remember when we are dealing with our self-esteem. Our self-esteem is based on who we are as people. And if we identify who we are with what we do, it's going to be a very bumpy ride. I often have students talking to me about their self-esteem has been knocked by certain things that have happened musically. They've had a bad concert, they've not performed the way they wanted to in an audition, in an interview, in some kind of performance, and it's really knocked them personally. And, you know, what does it say in The Godfather? This is not personal, this is business. Now, I have had my self-esteem knocked, I would say, a couple of times in my life, but neither of those occasions have been based on anything to do with my instrument or music. It's been to do with personal relationships with people, and I think that's reasonable. I think that's understandable. But it does often make me stop and think when a student says, you know, my self-esteem has been hit by something that's happened musically. And don't get me wrong, I've had some pretty bad performances. Some of them are even online. So if you attach your self-worth, your self-value to your role in the outside world, to the establishment to which you belong, to the concerts that you play, you're going to get a bit of a bashing. So I think it's really important that we separate out who we are as people and, you know, what we do. I think everybody is trying to become the best person that they can be. All of us. And that is what we should base our self-esteem on. What we've achieved as people, how we've grown. My instrument, the trombone, is my voice. It's my friend. It's my therapy. It's the life source. It's when I come into this room here to practice, it's where I come and speak. It's where I come and sing. It's where I come and I express myself. Life is always going to give you knocks. And I think, though, everybody needs that element in their life. The foundation in my life is, yes, it is what I do, but it's not how I identify myself. I'm a trombonist, I'm a musician, and I will be until I have no more breath left in my lungs. I have a date in mind as to when I will stop playing, if I'm allowed to live that far. When I will stop playing professionally, when I will stop doing concerts. But I will never stop playing the trombone because it's my voice. It's how I express myself. When everything else in life is going a bit rough, I can close that door there, come down here, and I can just love playing. And I can just enjoy what I do. Playing the instrument should be something that's associated with joy. Some people do yoga, some people go fishing, some people are hobby joiners that make beautiful furniture, some people are artists. But we all need that thing in our life that's beautiful. The problem we have as musicians is very often what we do for a living, or what we want to do for a living, and what we do as our life source, as our therapy, as our voice, is one and the same. Most people maybe perhaps go and work in a bank and then come home and go cycling in the Alps, and it's a big passion. Or they'll brew beer, or they'll do yoga and go to yoga retreats. And there's a clear delineation. The problem that we have as musicians is it becomes one and the same. And it becomes extremely personal. And if we have a bad run of concerts, or if we have a bad experience, or someone speaks to us in a demeaning way, judges us unfairly, unjustly, it affects us very deeply, personally, because it is our voice, because it is our friend, because it is our therapy. And that's the point, that we have to separate out who we are and what we do. I left the Vienna Philharmonic a long time ago, I don't know, 13 years ago. In order to become me. I saw far too many people who identified with an institution rather than themselves. And I wanted to leave all of that behind me and see who I really was as a musician, see what remained. When the Vienna Philharmonic disappeared from my name, it's never going to disappear from my CV because it's a part of my life that was very important to me. But, you know, I worked with people who would pick up the telephone, call their bank up, say their name, and then say Vienna Philharmonic afterwards. That's Austria, isn't it? So, you know, Joe Schmidt, Vienna Philharmonic. You know, they'd automatically have attention on it, but they're identifying as that. I even heard a story of an old trumpet player in the Chicago Symphony Orchestra who years after he retired was seen walking through the department store carrying his trumpet, years after he'd finished playing, carrying his trumpet case. He also went to a party and hung his coat up and put his trumpet case down. That's identifying with an instrument, isn't it? Quite sweet, really. So I wanted to leave the orchestra to see who I was, and frankly, it was a failure. My life after leaving the Vienna Philharmonic was really a failure. I was going to be a great conductor and a soloist all over the world, and guess what? It didn't happen the way I thought it was going to happen. And the slow realization is the blow is softened by the fact of, yes, but now you know who you are. Now you know what you have. And I'm happy with that. Because I identify as a musician as me. What I have is mine. I've worked for it. I've tried my best. And this is where I am in life. And I'm really happy with that. And so this was kind of the answer that I gave to the student who asked the question, was only to really say, well, look, this is my journey. And incidentally, you know, from what I can see, there are two types of people on this planet. There are those who are on a journey and those who aren't. And those who are on a journey are always trying to grow and learn and become, it's about becoming a better human being. And you can always tell those who are not on that journey because they judge you as the person they knew 40 years ago, not as the person you are now. And that tells us far more about those people than it does about oneself, because it says they haven't changed. I've changed. I've changed a lot. And don't be frightened of change. Grow. So dealing with failure is tough if you identify as, I am the job that I am in. I am held in this kind of esteem. I always find it quite interesting in America. Like, I've seen people go from being students with no self-worth to finally winning a job and then making everyone call them Mr. or Mrs. Can't call them by their first name. Mr. So-and-so, Mrs. So-and-so, whatever, Mrs. whatever. It's like, well, you know, the only change is that you had a good day and you won a job. You know, you're still the same person, you're still the same player. Have that self-esteem before you do the audition. Because self-esteem is the person that you are, not what you do. I don't listen to my recordings. If you're wondering, by the way, why I haven't made the hundreds of recordings that a lot of my friends and colleagues have made, is I guess I live my career that way. I go forwards the whole time. It's like, for me, playing and my life and my career is an experience. I'm experiencing this existence. I'm experiencing this life. And like I say, I am not interested in leaving anything for posterity. I want to leave my mark, so years after I've been here, people remember who I was. I'm not interested in that. Not out of a selfish way, but it's like, who am I? The opposite. Who am I? That's pretty arrogant, isn't it? I often, I realize actually, and some of you might find this hard to believe, that I'm not really a narcissist. I know that because I've worked with quite a few. And I've seen people, who've even said to me, you and I were the same. It's like, no, we're not the same. No, I'm not like that, no. And bless them. Very nice people, beautiful people. But I'm not interested in leaving things for posterity. I go that way. I'm experiencing what I'm doing. I want the next experience. Occasionally, I don't have a lot of my recordings. And I just had, recently somebody sent me another recording. It's like, I'd forgotten I'd even done it. I didn't even remember. Not only did I not have it, I couldn't even remember doing it. But occasionally I hear something and I think, oh, it's not bad. It's quite good actually. I like that. And then occasionally I'll stumble across a recording that's like, guess I've learnt since then. And but I think we can't always play well, we can't always get everything right. Now I have to let you into a secret. I've made some notes for this, it's written down here. Yeah, what did I not talk about? No, I think I've kind of not listening to recordings. I'm too busy living my life. I'm moving forwards. Oh, I think that's kind of about it. So as with everything, I'm not here to give people answers. I think through my experiences, I can lay on the table what I've learned. So who am I without my instrument? I'm me. And it's okay to be me. It's okay to be you too.